Good evening and welcome to Views with Joyce Waddell. And thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to be talking about messaging and how important it is to get a message across. You know, we've just finished with the third debate for the president, Democratic president, trying to get our nominee. The person who will represent the Democratic Party and will go up against the Republican, President Donald Trump. That debate was a lively debate, and it had a lot of issues. They've narrowed it down to 10 people. That's a lot. I've never seen as many people running for office to be president of the United States. And do you know something? It costs a lot of money because you have to raise money in order to get that message out, in order to travel across the country. And I was looking at one candidate's itinerary, looking at how that candidate would be traveling. And it was one place every single day and every night, 7 days a week, nonstop. Raising money, meeting voters, and trying to get a message across to voters. And I think messaging is so very important. What a person says and says publicly, that sticks with voters and resonates with them as they make decisions and as they vote. We had a bill earlier in the North Carolina General Assembly to eliminate the Electoral College and to stick with just the popular vote. Had we done that, stuck with the popular vote, at our last presidential election, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but she didn't win the vote of the Electoral College. That's something that we have to think about moving forward. Now, as we think about this third debate, and often I call it a forum because when you have 10 people, that's a lot of people. Debates, I see that more or less one-on-one. And what the 10 candidates were trying to do, each person trying to say something or make a statement, give a message that resonates and sticks with the voters and puts them head and shoulders above the rest. Right now, Joe Biden is leading and continues to be in the lead. Bernie Sanders is second and continues to be second. Elizabeth Warren, third, and she continues to be third. And that fourth place kind of goes back and forth with several of the other candidates. Kamala Harris often is in the fourth place. But it's nonstop, it's grinding, it's expensive, shaking hands, hopping on planes, driving cars. And I traveled with one of the candidates throughout eastern North Carolina. And sometimes you get into a community and you don't even know where you are. The candidate doesn't know because you're going so fast from one place to another. Stopping here at churches, pig pickings, chicken dinners, community centers, anywhere where you can see a group of at least 20 people, all throughout rural Carolina, North and South Carolina. Because we know South Carolina will have an early primary this time. That's a good thing because South Carolina is not the forgotten state. You have more politicians coming there now than ever before. Had it not been one of the early voting states, they would never have come in the Deep South like that to churches, community centers, hotels, the Elks, the Masons, sorority organizations. And it's amazing. But the third debate, everybody wanted to shine and wanted to say something that would stand out. Number 3, attacks and counterattacks. Love for one former president, loathing for the current one. a 76-year-old front runner, that's Joe Biden, essentially got called old. And he turned around and called another one, another rival, a socialist. We don't need name calling when it comes to ourselves and when it comes to selecting a candidate. We don't need to be calling each other names, because you know what that will do? Set it up so that when we do select a candidate, it gives the other side a chance to capitalize on it. We need to be in harmony and unity and stick with the issues. Say what you will do. Talk about your platform and get out of the business of name calling. It serves no purpose. But did the latest debate change the fundamentals of a nominating fight that remains remarkable? Stable at the top with 5 months until voting begins. Here's a look at some takeaways and potential answers to some of the questions and some things that we took away from that debate. Democrat debate seemed to end in a 10-way tie. A 10-way tie. Former Vice President Joe Biden was sure-footed until the end, at least for him, and compared with the previous two debates, there were more attacks at President Donald Trump than on each other. No one dominated. Biden took on the most fire because he was the front runner. And so, as the front runner benefits the most from a no decision, Senator Bernie Sanders faced sharp criticism about his universal health care plan from several candidates. But this base has demonstrated its loyalty. Senator Elizabeth Warren was more in the background than in prior debates, but seemed damaged. But she did not seem damaged. And she closed with a compelling personal story. And Senators Kamala Harris and Cory Booker were both crisp, but got lost on the crowded stage at some times. And so we see this is what will often happen. You can get lost on the stage. And from those who analyze it, the political analysts, they say it's a 10-10. No clear winners and no clear losers. And you see that often when you have that many people, because as they fire the questions out to them, they determine who will answer the questions, and they call name by name. And I saw hands being raised to rebuttal, but many of them were not recognized. It's a time limit and a time frame. And I did notice that at one occasion, when they would tell Senator Biden, hey, it's over for you, don't speak again, he would stop. And one occasion he said, no, I'm going to finish my sentence and finish my statement, because that's what the rest of them did. That's what you did. And now I'm going to do the same thing. So he took time to finish answering the question that he was asked. And it's amazing and exciting when you see the questions being asked and who they pose that question to. It's strategic, and sometimes it puts someone off guard, any one of the candidates off guard, when they're asked a question. But one of the things that seems to be very good about it, they cannot piggyback on somebody else's question or come up with the same answer that someone else has. In a lot of forums, that's what you see. One candidate wait until a question is posed, and then they piggyback on somebody else's answer, and then say the same thing. But they knew ahead of time the question they were going to get asked and how that question was going to affect what the public would think of the answer. And so Mayor Pete Buttigieg and Senator Amy Klobuchar, they helped. But it was interesting the closing statements that they made when they each one of them talked about their personal experiences and things that resonated with them. And they talked about their lives and how humbled they were and how the things that happened were so humbling. One talked about child being in the hospital and how expensive health care was. And that's something that people could resonate and identify with. And how there was never enough money in order to take care of the expenses, especially for young children when they're hospitalized. One of them talked about coming here and coming with nothing and having to work a system, work hard, and work their way up until they had enough money to support themselves and later on enough money to support their families. An humbling experience. And all of those closing remarks that were so personal made you think about how people struggle, but yet they're very resilient, able to bounce back and able to make a life, sometimes with great circumstances and adversities that may compound them. So it made the people, the viewers who were listening, it made your heart want to go out to them with sympathy, with compassion, and with understanding. Because you know the American story. You can come here, and this is the land of opportunity. And when you can make it no place in the world, as stated on the Statue of Liberty, we're humbled, we're here, you're poor, you're yearning. Send me your poor, you're yearning here in America. And it lets everybody know. Arms are open, opportunities are here, and you can be successful and have a wonderful life for yourselves, for your community, as well as give back. We're going to pause for a moment and take you to some sights and sounds. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about messaging as we continue to talk about the message of these 10 candidates and how that message really resonates throughout the political process with them and with others.
So stay in love. It's all about love. Lord, I'm in love with you. Lord, I'm in love. Lord, I'm in love with you. And the woman you promised me, and the woman you promised me, and the woman you promised me, Now listen. And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help me for him. Whoso findeth a wife, findeth a good thing, and obtain his favor of the Lord. Faith and trust I have in you. You won't let me down. I remember what you done for me when no one was around. I had to hold on through some stormy days and lonely nights. Now he has blessed me with a beautiful, 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 beautiful wife. Yeah. It was worth the wait. It took some time. I belong to you, and you are mine. You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. Tell your wife, tell her, say, you're beautiful. Tell her right now. Say, you're beautiful. Yeah, she like that.
For some reason, during the debates, healthcare came up over and over again. But there were fewer criticisms of each other, not as many as we had anticipated. For instance, when Warren talked about the idea of taxes being increased, I think she got that question, would it tax the middle class as a result of the health care plan that she talked about? Well, during a discussion on trade, though she did not directly answer whether her plan would raise taxes on the middle classes, she didn't directly answer that, but she's continuing to say that. And then during a discussion on trade, Biden even said he agreed with Warren's answer, her call to bring labor to the table. Because she's saying that when we talk about health care, have everybody to the table. Have labor, have the hospitals, healthcare professionals, have everybody to the table. And so many instances during the debate, they were cordial with each other. And then when they got the question about Sanders' battle on health care, Sanders took heavy fire at his single-payer health insurance proposal, with Biden and with others hammering the Vermont senator for the cost and the political probability of effectively eliminating the existing private insurance market. That's what he's proposing for. The former vice president went hardest at Sanders when the senator argued that his estimated $30 trillion cost over a decade is cheaper than the status quo, which he put at $50 trillion, with most of the money being that Americans spend privately on premiums, co-pays, and out-of-pocket costs. Sanders' argument is that most U.S. households would pay less overall under the system even if their taxes go up. And Biden wrote that Sanders would effectively be handing Americans a pay cut. Oregon employees who now pay a share of the workers' premiums would pocket that money instead of giving workers raises if the government were to cover all costs of health care. And so Biden punctuated that point with one of the quotes at the night. For a socialist, you've got a lot more confidence in corporate America than I do. And Buttigieg replied on Sanders too. Buttigieg said that he trusts the American people to make the right decision between private insurance and a public opinion. Why don't you, he asked Sanders. Of age and experience, at the center of the debate stage were three candidates in their 70s who had had a collective headlock on the upper tier for months. Of the 7 younger contenders, Castro, 44, was most explicit in Oregon. It was time for a new generation. And he specifically targeted the frontrunner, 76-year-old Biden. Our problems didn't start with Donna, Castro said in his open statement. We won't solve them by embracing someone who is older ideas. Castro seemed to allude to speculation about Biden's mental acuity during an exchange about health care when he said to Biden about his health care, people need to buy into Medicare, Castro explained. Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago? He continued, suggesting that Biden didn't remember what he just said about his own plan. Later during a discussion about deporting people on the Obama administration, Castro mocked Biden for clinging to former President Barack Obama, when then he only once said, so you're keeping with those policies and it's time to change. So much of the exchange, when Castro had an opportunity, he called up Biden and gave an inference that Biden was dealing with things of the past, that he was just bringing forth older ideas. And these are some things that he thought would resonate, he thought would get some points for, but evidently he didn't. I think when he felt that he was calling out Biden, that it would cause his ratings to move up, but it didn't. In fact, many people who heard him say that did not appreciate that, because we cannot continue to beat down people in our own party when in the end we're going to have to work together and make certain that we have the strength and the unity and the forwardness to move ahead together as Democrats so that we can be in the lead and so that we can move forward and make a difference. Because after all, of the 10 people present, only one will be the one who would be chosen as the nominee. So we cannot beat up on each other and have somebody so bruised that when they get the nomination, they're vulnerable and we've weakened their spirits, as well as put things in the heads of other voters that are not positive and favorable. So thank you for being with us on Views with Joyce Waddell. I want you to tune in next week for another interesting program.